Welcome to Fashion Innovation Worldwide Talks. My name is Lance Gould. I'm the co-founder of Silicon Valley Story Lab. Fashion Innovation Worldwide Talks is in its second year, bringing a wide lens to various social good issues tied to fashion. I'm in my hometown of New York City, and we have an amazing panel today called Fashion is Sustainable Development Goals. And today, June 5th, of course, is World Environment Day. Before we get started, just a quick note that all of us involved with Fashion Innovation Talks want to express our solidarity with Americans and others around the world who are protesting for social justice. All of the UN 17 SDGs are related, including SDG 16, which is peace and justice. As Jordana just noted, we have an amazing panel today, and our two panelists are leading lights in the fashion world. We have Sara Sozzani Maino. She's the Deputy Editor-in-Chief of Vogue Italia, and Jordana mentioned her other credits. And we are also delighted to have Marina Spadafora, who is a sustainability consultant and Fashion Revolution Italy country coordinator. Both of them are joining us from Milan today, and we are so pleased to have them on the panel. Welcome to you both.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. Hello.
As the name of the panel suggests, we will be looking at how fashion intersects with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, aka the SDGs. To get started, Sara, Marina, do you have any opening remarks? Sara first, please.
Well, obviously, I mean, it cannot be, forgetting what's happening in America. And I think it's obviously for right now, for the whole world, it's a very difficult moment and it's challenging for everyone. So it's something that I think it's kind of touching and shocking everyone, especially now that, COVID, it's unfortunately become kind of part of our lives, and we have to kind of deal and try to go back to a new normal, not our normal lives. And what's happening in America, it's something that it's kind of almost impossible and shocking to think that it really happened. And the only thing we can really do is obviously support the whole community and try to be a system, and hopefully trying that this can be kind of solved, but we know that it's not a solution. It's a problem that has always been going on. And so we just need to hope and be positive and trying to be supportive as much as possible.
Marina, would you like to make an opening statement?
Yes, I think that it's very important to understand also that we cannot have any kind of ecology without the proper anthropology, meaning that this planet has supported us as humankind for so long, but we have to address both the environment and the social aspect of everything. So in America, what's happening right now, it's obviously that the social aspect is very much under strain. It's something, unfortunately, not new. It's been happening for many, many years. It's time to put a stop to it. And I think it's really important that people are reacting. I'm talking about the peaceful protesters, but it's important to let the voices be heard by the people that can make decisions that could bring us into a new future that it's better both for humanity and for environment. So social justice is really at the base of any movement. I think it's fundamental. So good luck with everything. We're going to go on a march here in Milan on Sunday afternoon. And we're with you, absolutely.
Thank you so much. And to your point, Marina, it's so valuable what you said about how all of the SDGs are connected and how ecology relies on anthropology. It's such a good point. Thank you so much. For the audience tuning in around the world today, we're going to have a discussion among the three of us for about 30 minutes, but please send us any questions you would like to ask, and I'll ask them to Sara, Marina in the last 10 minutes of the program, which we'll turn over to really the audience. So getting started, first, as you are both in Northern Italy, I'm sure the audience is very curious to hear how both of you, as well as your families and your colleagues, are actually doing since COVID-19 has devastated Italy. How are things there, Marina?
Things are getting slowly back to normal. Just yesterday, we are free to travel between regions. So finally, we're able to go visit relatives and do other things. Especially in Lombardy and Milan, COVID has been devastating. We lost way too many lives. And the impact on the whole country, on the point of view of economic growth, is very, very challenging. I think this is a moment, I always bring up this thing, which is in Chinese language, the word crisis is made up of two ideogrammi, two signs.
Two characters, yep.
Yeah, two characters. One means danger, and the other one is opportunity. So I think we really need to take this opportunity. It's an opportunity for everyone. I mean, we're talking about fashion. It's an opportunity to change our habits. It's an opportunity to change the system. But it's also an opportunity for example, for the European Union to show solidarity and to show countries like Italy, Spain, and other countries that have been hit first and were not prepared, that it's time to come together as a federation, as a union, and help each other. Because I really strongly believe that now is the time to move from a mindset of competition to a mindset of cooperation. This is the only way that we can move forward as a humanity. If we think that Earth, this beautiful planet, has been around for 4.5 billion years, but civilization as we know it, it's only been around for about 6,000 years. So if we don't wise up, Earth will keep on evolving and changing. And the only question is, are we going to be around to witness it? So let's wise up.
Sarah, what is your perspective on how things are in Italy post-COVID?
Well, I totally agree what Marina said. Obviously, for us, it's been kind of a challenge and it's been tough, and the economy is in big crisis because, I mean, apart the lockdown and the terrible deaths of so many people, obviously now there's a big challenge on the economy, which is devastating. But as Marina was saying, but we always have to think positive, and we have to see it as a second chance, because obviously it's terrible what happened, but we need to see also the positive part and think that we can restart in a better way. And being a community and the system right now, it's the most strongest thing that we could have. Even though, unfortunately, it's something very difficult to obtain, especially in Italy. It's not a criticism, but it's a reality. But we are people like Marina, myself, and there are many other people, Italian people, that believe in the community and the system. And, we are not gonna fall down and not believe in what we do. But obviously, this has to be a very strong statement more than ever. And about the Earth, we are all guests here. It's not our place, and we totally disrespected, all of us, until now. And we know perfectly that it's the damage has been done, but we can always try to kind of slow down this damage and respect it more, because as Marina was saying, I mean, we're not eternal, and the Earth is going to remain. We are not going to stay here, so we have to respect the place where we stay. And so, well, we Italians are always very positive, even though this has been a very, very, very strong hit, especially, I mean, we both work in the fashion system, and obviously the fashion community has been hit hard because the production of Made in Italy is worldwide. So it's not just about Italians, but it's about everywhere. So, but as I said, everyone is willing to continue and to work and go out. But obviously the government needs to support more than what they're doing right now.
Well, that's a very good segue into my next question, Sara. Thank you for that. The virus has, as you noted, first and foremost, taken thousands of lives, but it has also disrupted economies and supply chains around the world. How has that impacted the fashion industry in particular, with particular attention to the sustainability efforts in the fashion community?
I mean, is it me or Marina? Sorry,
Sara first.
Okay. Sorry. It's just like.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. And no, I mean, obviously the impact has been devastating because 3 months of lockdown, of total lockdown, of stopped, obviously has stopped an entire kind of process which has touched everyone, which is not just about the fashion brand, it's about the artisans, about the small industries, about the shops, about a whole community. And I don't want to go back on this and be very critical, but the government totally always forgets about the fashion. They do not even consider it about it. And we have been shouting since years that it's the second or third economy impact on Italy. So, I mean, it's, you know, we're like kind of yelling that we are here, and anyways, we're going to continue anyways to go on, even though the government, it's not kind of helping as much as they could.
And just to be clear, Sara, by that, do you mean that they have not listed you as an essential, not listed fashion as an essential business, or is that what
well,
you mean?
they're obviously considering other aspects. I mean, of the obviously tourism and you know, and other aspects of the industry, which is fine, but fashion is never mentioned. So this is kind of still very kind of, I don't know, we are kind of always cannot believe that still after all of this, they don't realize the situation. But anyways, we go on, and going back to the sustainable part, obviously fashion has always been very criticized about how impactful in the negative way have been. And I think that this stop has been very reflective for everyone. And right now brands and the industry wants to slow down and make it better.
Marina, how about you? What's your take on this?
Yes, like I said, I think this pandemic has shaken a lot of consciences. We've seen the first signs in the luxury industry when Giorgio Armani wrote a very interesting letter to Women's Wear Daily, where he said, you know, the rhythm that we've been following, it's been chasing the rhythm of fast fashion, and it doesn't make any sense. Because fast fashion comes out with new collections almost every week, and it's put a terrible strain both on the environment and on the people that are making our clothes worldwide. But what luxury goods have done is they kind of said, oh, well, we can't just come out twice a year. So let's make the pre-collection and another pre-collection and a drop and a special capsule. So now even this system has become like this. So Giorgio Armani said, we have to slow down, like Sara said before, and let's go back to 2 collections a year. So shortly after, Dres Van Noten gathered a whole big group of brands that said the same. Then Gucci last week adhered to the same thing. So in the luxury industry, we're going towards this, you know, let's take the time back. Let's produce something that is good quality, hopefully produced in Italy and not outsourced like unfortunately many brands do right now. So this could be a good development. And as far as the big fast fashion brands, it's really come time for them to wise up, I think, because in the whole world, people are rising up and they're understanding what fast fashion is doing to the environment. Also, thanks to people like Sara, myself, and many other, they're advocating this very loudly on every channel we can. So fast fashion, big names in fast fashion are doing good efforts towards sustainability on the environmental side, but they're still not paying the people the right amount. So it's that famous, you know, like environmental sustainability has to go along with social sustainability. So I really believe that they should start paying something called the living wage, which is, you know, a wage that affords people the basic necessity, that it's very different than the minimum wage, which is much lower. And I have one last thought, which is this extra few bucks that might have to be paid by these brands to produce a t-shirt or a dress or whatever should not be dumped on the consumer. So it should not go and increase the price in the shop, but it should be absorbed by the company reviewing their profit margins, meaning that they should behave like they should have behaved all along, paying the right, not polluting, and they make huge amounts of money, shaving off a little bit, just so to make sure that the people that produce our clothes are not in danger, enslaved, and paid horribly low prices. I think that should be on their shoulders.
Those are excellent points. And in fact, I'm going to revisit that in 1 minute, but I had a question for both of you first. And first, I just want to read a couple of stats to you. According to the World Economic Forum, the fashion industry produces 10% of all of humanity's carbon emissions and is the second biggest consumer of the world's water supply. Does the industry even recognize the enormity of its role in the planet's current state? And do you think that it sincerely cares? Marina, let me go to you first on that one. Does it recognize and does it care?
Yes, I think now we've gotten to the point where it does know, and it's starting to care, not as much from like a heartfelt care thing, but more like, people are starting to care. So consumers, so our sales might go down if we don't behave. Also, you know that the brands that are listed on the stock market have to produce every year a sustainability report for their shareholders. So there is a movement towards making this, part of the process. I must say also that in Italy, we have the producers of fabric and yarn and all these things are very, very good. Most of them are certified. Most of them have taken the challenge of Greenpeace, of the zero waste and, detox program of not having bad chemicals in the process of making clothes. So I think that here all the luxury brands of the world come to this country to produce, and they have very high standards like the Caring Group and other groups. So by default, our industry, textile industry in general is at a very good level. So I think with a little push from the grassroots movement that we are working on as Fashion Revolution, for example, and the laws, because we need very stringent laws. I always say we have very stringent laws for the food industry and cosmetic industry, because I want to know what I'm putting inside my body and I want to know what I'm putting on my eyes. But if you consider that the skin is the largest organ in our body, I should well know what goes on my skin. So I do want labels, and we do want labels with QR codes that tell us exactly the ingredients of our clothes, where they were made, what was the carbon footprint, were people paid, blah, 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 blah. That's what we want. And I think the industry should care, because otherwise they're going to lose profit.
Those are amazing ideas. Sara, back to you. And again, just a reminder, is the industry aware and does it care?
Not totally aware, and they should care more. I mean, the thing is that, no, I don't want to be pragmatic, but it's true, because obviously what Marina was saying, it's very important, because they're beginning to care more, because the consumer are beginning to have, they want to have better product, and they want to know what they're wearing, as people know what they want to eat. But I think that the most important thing is that people like us, and also the platform of today, and the voices are the ones that will like spread the word and spread also the awareness. And this is probably the most important thing, because if we don't create awareness, people will not know, because the people, I mean everyone, because we obviously are part of a community of fashion that we know what's happening. But what about all the other people, the common people that do not know anything about fashion, and they do not know what they're buying? So once you go into a shop, you want to know what they're buying, but unless the brands begin to say to you what you're buying, how can you become conscious? So if it's it's a chain, and it's a social chain, and it's a responsibility of the consumer to be picky and pretending to want things. But most of all, it's us as media and brands that have to be, communicate the awareness and the change. So going back to your questions, they are aware, because obviously this pandemic brought them to stop, which stopped everyone. So it's not that they're wrong and we're right, but we stopped. And now the desire of living a better life, it's in the head of everyone. So going back to their offices and to their factories, now they think how to be better. And obviously they're gonna care more. And this is a process that was already starting, but COVID helped, which is, I know it's a strange word to say, but it helped to be more aware and to care more.
Got it. That's such a good point, that COVID has opened our eyes to not only health issues, but to so many issues involving every sector. A couple more stats for you. This is also from WEF. 85% of all textiles go to the dump each year. And washing some types of clothes sends thousands of bits of plastic into the ocean. This is kind of what Marina was talking about earlier with fast fashion. The industry is quite an unenviable balancing act to perform here, continuing to manufacture goods to make money and to keep workers employed, but to do so in a way that does not continue to tax the resources of the planet. What should fashion be doing to lead the way here? And I'm going to start with Sara.
Well, basically, it's already two words: slow down. Because the way, I mean, slowing down, it's helping, to slow down production, but it's not the solution, because obviously slowing down doesn't mean that you stop producing. You're still producing. So it's slowing down, how you slow down and how you will produce in the future. And also this is something that, during the lockdown, I did things which I never had the opportunity to do, which was more about listening and do online courses on sustainability, because myself, and this is just a small thing I wanted to say. I've been working in the industry for a long time, but my kind of approach to sustainability is very short term. It's 5 or 6 years. And I have to say that my passion also came from the friendship and the support of Marina, because I've been knowing her for many years, and she helped me and started, to get, the right paths. And then obviously it's also about you as a person to be curious and, and to want to go more. And I think this is, it's very important. So even the quality of how you do things, and also it's not about the quantity. So now the slowdown of production has to be quality. And why this? And the quality is always going back to the question before. You have to be aware and conscious of where to buy the quality. So you go to Fashion Revolution, they can tell you where to buy, but maybe then you go to Vogue and you read what to do. This is, our mission of also helping these big brands, because obviously the big brands have the structure of knowing how to do it. But you have to consider that, I don't know percentage, but there's a high percentage of brands that they don't really know how to move, that they are completely like in a dark room, and they don't know where to look at, because there's no one, pointing the light and tell them where to go. So I think this is something very important, which is a little bit the answer to the question, but a little bit also outside the question.
No, that's great. And Marina, playing off what Sara just said, say that there is a company that maybe wants to do better. And I'm just playing off what Sara said here, that maybe they want to do better, but they don't know how. What should they do?
Well, first of all, they have to get information. I think, there are people out there, there are experts in different areas that can help. And I always say that starting in sustainability, I always compare it to a little baby that starts to take its first steps. And he ain't gonna run. He's gonna, he's gonna take baby steps. So the approach also of NGOs like Fashion Revolution and many others now is we've shifted a little bit from pointing fingers so much to sort of helping these companies to move in the right direction. Because the important thing is continuity, though, because I've witnessed in the years companies that will do a project and be really adamant and splash it all over the media. And then the next season, they're back to doing what they were doing before. So like, no. If you start on the path, you have to continue, because continuity gives legitimacy to your journey. And then we can allow you to have baby steps initially. But if your baby steps are just to show and let people know that, hey, I'm sustainable, but then really you're just greenwashing, then that's not okay.
We're coming up at about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to speed up a little bit here just so I can get a couple more questions in. But okay. Relatively quickly, is this all the fault of the industry, or are they in any way answering consumer demand? What is the role that consumers have here? Let me start with Marina on that one.
Okay, actually, I think it's the industry's fault, because we were used to buying things seasonally as population, fall, winter, spring, summer. And then this fast fashion started pushing merchandise on the market cheap and cheerful. And it started this pandemic, another pandemic of bulimic fashion shopping. Bulimic because you buy it and it doesn't cost you a lot, it's not very good quality, and then it gets thrown away, which you were saying before. I just want to say something very quickly about that. Textile dumps are very, very bad for the environment, because when a bunch of clothes and textiles are left under the sun, they, after a while, methane gas comes out of it. Not only the methane gas goes up and it's very bad for, it's 300 times worse than CO2, but also all the chemicals that have been used to make the clothes with the rain go down in the waterways and then into the ocean, etc., etc. So chucking the clothes that we don't care about is really, really bad. But it was started by greedy industry that wanted to make more and more turnover quicker and more often during the year.
Well, I love your point earlier about having a label that is equivalent to what we put in our food, how we label our food and how we label our cosmetics. If we label that, I think people would take a second look.
Yes.
Sara, I'm going to ask you another question just to get more questions in.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from consumer demand, what are the biggest obstacles to sustainable reform in the fashion industry? What are the biggest obstacles?
Well, the biggest obstacle is obviously kind of like education, because obviously where it all starts is from education. Because if we always say that if, like in schools, you don't have the education of being responsible, then when you're gonna do a brand and you're gonna be in your 30s or 20s and didn't have the education, it's like starting with something that you don't know, and probably you're not gonna be sustainable. And as Marina was saying before, I mean, it's about the system, about also being bulimic. I mean, who is obliging you of being bulimic? The fact is that you cannot be tempted. So the temptation has to be a temptation of doing good and not just buying because it's cheap and cheerful, which I totally love, this thing of cheap and cheerful. It's like very ironic and very, very negative at the same time. But obviously it's education. And the other big problem of brands, and that they are stubborn. They're stubborn and afraid. I mean, because this thing of not communicating at all, that they're starting to be a little bit more sustainable, they don't communicate, because the main answer when I ask them, but you're doing this, why don't you say, well, because then we are not totally, so we begin to start communicating that we're doing this, and then they're gonna criticize us. But listen, with the Instagram, unfortunately, and Facebook, the very problem is that now everyone has the right to say something, which is totally wrong. Because I mean, it's totally now, I mean, going back to what's happening in America, and you know, people are trying to put their point out, but they're all people, especially famous, that then they put it and then criticizes because they're saying you're not doing enough. I mean, this is something that you're not gonna get out from. So who cares if they criticize you? I think it's more important that maybe the people outside knows that I don't know, that I don't want to make names, but a brand is doing something, and who cares if they say, okay, you're doing a sustainable collection, but why the other collection is not sustainable? You can answer, we're working on it, but at least we're starting. Because if you don't begin to say that you're starting, people think that nobody's doing anything. So this is always a little bit a circle, and someone has to break the circle.
I'm going to cut you off there for 1 second because we have 1 minute.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. We have 1 minute left, and I want to end on an optimistic note. So, what in 30 seconds each, give us all a reason for optimism in the industry. Let's start with Sara, and then give me 30 seconds, and then Marina, and then we're going to have to say goodbye.
Because human beings are optimistic, and the human being is like kind of when there are big challenges, it's always, I mean, human beings forget easily in the positive and the negative, but they're always willing to go on and to think. And now it's a way of having a blank paper, putting back the rules in the right way, and think for a better future.
Marina, optimism?
I think what I call Gen G, which is Generation Greta, is our biggest hope, because this younger generation is really very, very adamant. I have 3 kids. 2 of them are obsessed with sustainability. My son just did his thesis on sustainability, and my daughter is doing an amazing project on it. So I can see through them and their friends, they really do care. So there is hope.
Thank you so much.
Always hope.